Sick dream, Tanya doesn't know that the council let it all overflow. Tanya doesn't know that the council let it all overflow. Tanya doesn't know, but the people do. And we'll make sure the truth shines through. Oh, Tanya fought so hard, she says, for the people on this road. But where was she when the trucks rolled in and the neighbors begged for the dumping to end? Tanya doesn't know, while the council drags its feet real slow. Tanya doesn't know, but the people do, and we'll make sure the truth shines through. Tanya doesn't know. Tanya doesn't know.
Andrew Thaler, welcome back to the Monero Zone. It's been quite a week for you.
Many weeks are the same. You think it's reached peak stupid, and then we find a new summit.
Well, let's just jump straight into it.
No, we want a song, don't we?
Well, I think you have a song already, but we might have to make another one after this. Well, let's jump into it. Did the Office of Local Government or Council conduct any formal investigation into your side of the story?
You want the simple answer or your long answer?
I'll give me both.
No. And the long answer? Definitely not.
In what ways have they failed to investigate the codes of conduct?
They've never put them to me. I don't know what they are.
The whole region seems to know that you have 19 codes of conduct, and Nicole Overall, I believe, has mentioned that even in New South Wales Parliament.
But see, that's really fantastic. There isn't 19. That's the problem.
Well, that's not what Nicole Overall and the media have presented.
Well, that's because she has an agenda. She's nasty. And she is, the big word is promulgating. She is pushing the lie.
Well, we'll get into Nicole, but let's just focus on these codes of conduct. You say they're not 19. How many do you propose that there are?
I know one of them has been withdrawn, and I've got evidence of that. So if there were 19 code of conducts lodged, one was withdrawn because it was lodged under duress. Now, that's a really serious thing. That means the person that put that complaint in didn't do it of their own free will. How many others are like that? Now, worse, I was given a line out of one of the early complaints. It's the complaint from our whingy whiny mayor, the guy that I call the boy mayor, Chris Hanna, or Chris. And hi, Chris, I know you're listening. Just please resign and stop embarrassing our council. You are just the most pathetic mayor I've ever met, and I've met some. He put in a complaint saying, "Hi, David," and I'm going to use a gay voice because I think it's appropriate, and it annoys him, and it makes me laugh. "Hi, David. I'd like to make the below email from Councillor Thaler a code of conduct. Cheers, Chris." That's it. That's not a code of conduct complaint.
What was the complaint?
I've no idea, because that's all I've got.
Sorry, Andrew, I'm a little bit baffled. Are you saying that the mayor made a code of conduct against you without actually having a complaint in there?
Doesn't reference any clause. It doesn't have any specificity. It doesn't have any detail. And I know the email that he's talking about because I wrote the email. And in that, Chris Hanna was criticising me for choking a woman at a cafe in Nimidabel, which of course I never did. So he's going to be the mayor of our region, and he was disgusted that the police withdrew the charges against me. I wonder if Chris is still equally disgusted now that his friend Sandra has been charged with 2 counts of assault for assaulting me. This guy lives in an upside down world, and he was pissed off that I wrote an email saying, "I'm going to hold you to account for your words and remind everybody what you said, Chris." That's what he was annoyed about.
Wait, that's incredible.
Chris wanted the story to be that I should have been charged. He was outraged that the charges were withdrawn. On an innocent man, he was outraged that the charges were withdrawn.
Wow. Okay.
So if that's a code of conduct, well, everything's broken. Because if that's what the Office of Local Government claim is something that qualifies for a code of conduct complaint, then actually the code of conduct complaint should be against Chris for actually wanting harm to be done to an innocent man, me.
No, that certainly does seem very concerning. Um, has any mediation or internal resolution been proposed before
Mate,
this has been escalated?
we can't even talk nice to each other over the table. I mean, of course there's no mediation. They don't want mediation. They won't even put the allegations to me because most of them, if not all of them, would be dismissed or found to be frivolous or vexatious. And I'd probably sue them for defamation because I'm sick and tired of this shit. The power is in the allegation, not the punishment. And if you can keep that allegation alive, like a bouncing ball, it does a lot of damage while ever it keeps bouncing. But you bring that ball down and look at it and you see that there's nothing in there, it's got no power anymore.
Yeah, to me, just a casual observer from the outside, it does seem suspicious that there's been no investigation into any of these charges that were put to you months ago in December.
Try October, Chris. I'm sorry, but this goes back to October, and the investigator, Brad something or other from the Office of Local Government, I've got a video of that prick sitting there smugly in a meeting that we had with the OLG, and I asked him directly, have you completed or conducted the investigation? And his answer was no.
So how can you be suspended if they haven't even investigated any of these allegations?
Because they're using a new one. They're using the fat dumb blonde, big fat liar issue. They're using that, which was from a Facebook live chat I did on around the 5th of March or the 6th of March, whatever. I don't really care what date it was. You know, it was a busy time. We were trying to get the asbestos dealt with at Nicolego, and I was being broadcast as the victim, a villain, I should say. So
let me just check something with you. You are not being suspended regarding the 19 codes of misconduct. You are being suspended now for calling somebody a big fat liar.
Correct.
And for misgendering somebody.
Allegedly misgendering someone. Thing is, I don't think I did misgender them because I'm pretty sure Michelle Rogers, she's actually a man.
Okay.
So we have to be flippant about this now because we have entered the complete absurd. Let's not forget what Trump did this week. Trump's come out and said, no more woke, no more trannies in the whole US Army. Gone. That's big. You got to wonder, why did he do that? Because he said he would.
I want to bring it back more locally though. Just to confirm, so you're not actually yet in trouble for the 19 codes of misconduct or 18 codes of misconduct.
Well, I can't be because they haven't even put the allegation to me.
But you're suspended because you called...
No, I'm allegedly going to be suspended because I called a fat councillor a fat liar. Okay. I used the word as an intensive and a play on word because this fat councillor sits in the council meetings and whispers and cajoles and rolls her eyes and carries on disgustingly, but then goes in the community and lies about me.
We'll get into the weeds regarding that, but I just really need to wrap my head around this for a moment. You're not suspended over the 19 codes of misconduct. You're suspended for calling somebody a big fat liar and for misgendering someone, correct?
That's what the OLG report says, that I haven't actually got a copy of it sent to me yet. It's with my lawyer, which means it's technically served, but the OLG didn't give it to me or my lawyer before they gave it to the media, of course.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not part of the Office of Local Government or hold any official position. But it seems to me that this seems like a very frivolous reason to suspend a duly elected member for calling somebody a big fat liar and for misgendering somebody. It just seems a bit overboard, a bit heavy-handed.
Out of proportion?
Out of proportion.
With the alleged offending. When you look at the rules, there are what they call other diversionary measures, other sort of disciplinary measures. You could have a stern talking to by the general manager. You can be reprimanded. You can be directed to apologise. You can be asked to withdraw the remarks.
Now, for me, I'm not too concerned about the form of how people package their words. I'm more concerned about the merits of their words. Why do you call Tanya Higgins a big fat liar?
Well, she is. I mean, let's mechanically. She's fat and she's a liar. And that seems to be perfectly okay for the Labor Party, and that's completely a matter to them. I mean, the Labor Party starts with the letter L, liars start with the letter L, there's a synonymity there. But let's go back a couple of years to when Tanya Higgins told everybody that I was the ugliest man around, a man so ugly that no woman could find me attractive. And yet, I'm happily married to a real woman. I just want to make it clear that we're going to talk about misgendering, all that kind of shit. People don't think I know what a woman is. I married one.
And your wife is very beautiful.
Well, not just that. She's a woman. She has empathy and she has feelings. And those feelings were being attacked. Her sense of self was being attacked by Tanya when Tanya made those public comments. And most people remember the video. Unfortunately, it got deleted when my Facebook account got scrapped. But I stripped down to my undies on a live video and said, hey, Tanya, this is the ugly man that you're talking about. This is me in my undies. Your turn. Let's strip down to you and let's see what you look like. And that was so funny. It went around the community everywhere. And yes, it was embarrassing to Tanya. But then don't attack me because I defend myself and I'm not limited in how I defend myself.
To me, this smacks of somewhat of a double standard, because you've been plastered all over national media as a serial pest.
No, it's that. According to the Minister for Local Government, I'm a grub.
Well, I was going to get to that next. And the Office of Local Government has called you a grub.
Well, no, the Office of Local
Ron
Government
Honig
hasn't, but the bloke in charge of it, or the guy that thinks he's in charge of it,
Yeah,
Ron Honig.
Ron Honig has called you a grub. So how does that work where they can call you a serial pest and call you a grub, and you can't reply back and call somebody that's told blatant lies about you a big fat liar? How does that work?
This is a politicised, weaponised system of control. And I'm not the kind of guy that you can control. Let's go back to a very long time. One of my proudest memories in life, it's a funny one. I was in second class from memory. So what would that have made me? 8, 7? I started school when I was 4 in Camberwarra Primary School. And every year, the headmaster at the school, under the headmaster, would walk up Camberwarra Mountain from the school to the summit. And the kindy, first, second, thirds were only allowed to go halfway. And we used to have this barbecue at a property owned by the Hills, a long-term family. Everyone locally from that area, they just know the Hills property. So everybody walks to the midpoint. And me and my mates Shannon and Dean, we wanted to go to the top, but we were only in third class from memory. And I remember the headmaster, he was such an awesome man. He was a great teacher. Graham Taylor was his name. And he said, well, if your mum gives you permission, you can. And our mums are like, sure, they already go up there all the time anyway. So we went to the summit, these little kids. Never forgot it, never forget it. Always strive for something more than people tell you you're allowed. And that's been my life. But you can't control me, and you don't try and tell me I can't do something.
Yeah, so it just seems really sad that they can call you things. And
No, they think they can call me things. But this is what's called accountability. This is called pushback. This is why I keep doing what I'm doing. And people ring me and say, oh, Andrew, please don't swear, you'll get more viewers. And I want to tell them, that's not how it works in the real world. Anyone watched Joe Rogan's podcast? Anyone watched anyone with large number of viewers? I don't think there's anyone out there that strictly doesn't swear.
Well,
and
I'd be one of your friends that would encourage you to swear less.
Yeah, and there's a difference between swearing less and swearing in context, right? I did this when I read out that quite now famous legal paper, and you're just worried I'm going to say it, aren't you?
I am worried you're going to say
I won't say it, but everybody knows the legal paper I'm talking about. You just dial it up on the internet. It's called Dog Something Something. And it tells you and explains to you what is legal language or what is language.
Okay, now you've said that the media knew more about your case than you did. What did you mean?
At every step, the media have been given this information before me. So when the investigation, in air quotes, and I want to say that in my most facetious sarcasm font, when Mr. Whitworth started this investigation, in air quotes, italics, he gave it to the media. And so I got a phone call from Alasdair McDonald from ABC Southeast saying, "Oh, good morning, Andrew. I've got a recording of it. I've published it. He wanted to know how I was going to respond to the investigation. And the opening letter of the investigation says this is confidential, highly confidential. If you reveal any of this information, you can be punished under this section of the Act and this section of the Act, and it's a criminal offence and blah, 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 blah." And I remember reading that paragraph to the ABC journalist, and there was kind of this audible gasp. "Ooh, so, Alasdair, how did you get that document?" "Oh, we got it from the government." And I remember giggling at him saying, "The government? Oh, it sounds like the internet." Office of Local Government have betrayed the confidence of their own investigation every single step of the way, even to the point that, and people will listen to this and go, "Oh, bullshit, Andrew." On Monday, they published the order. They rang my lawyer at 3 p.m. saying, "Oh, are you still receiving correspondence from Mr. Thaler?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course, I'm his lawyer." "Well, stand by." And nothing came. And then this order was published, and the next morning I've got Georgie from Win News and Alasdair and some other dickhead from About Region and all these other journalists ringing up to talk about it. And I'm saying, "Can you send me a copy of it? Because I don't have it." And I rang on my lawyer, and he's like, "I haven't got it. I haven't got anything." So the OLG rang on that 4:30 that afternoon. "Oh, sorry, we got your email address wrong." And so we didn't get it until 4:30 Tuesday afternoon. A whole day after the media get it. That's not accidental.
Now, is the process meant to be confidential?
100%. That's the point. That's not just for my benefit. That's for the complainant's benefit too. I'm pretty sure Tanya doesn't want to really be known as the dumb fat blonde and have it broadcast over national media. But her good friend Jordan Baker put that in the headline of the Sydney Morning Herald that came out on Tuesday. And that's not my fault. I'm going to say sucked in. Because you keep putting yourself in that position, Tanya. If you want to be known nationally as the dumb fat blonde, you put yourself in the Sydney Morning Herald and you put yourself under that headline. When I made that comment, 100 people might have seen it. No one really cared. Now the nation's seen it, not once, not twice, but like 4 times. Don't blame me for that.
Now, I believe that the CEO, Stephen Dunshea,
Sorry, that's #DoNothingDunshay.
has also weighed in on the situation.
Oh, you got to love his media statement. He's thanking the OLG for coming in to assist him with OH&S matters in the council. Oh, it sounds just so awful. Yeah, he doesn't even want to take my report about Linda Summers, Labor councillor, assaulting me and intimidating my wife in the council building in front of Do Nothing Dunshay's eyes. He stood there and watched it. He will not take the complaint and he will not act on it. Luckily, though, the police are acting on it. It's just that they're acting very, very slowly.
Now, do you think that there is a coordinated effort between different government agencies to shape public opinion about you?
Absolutely.
And so what government agencies would these be?
Well, we go back to the Environment Protection Authority back in 2003. We go back to Queanbeyan Council. We go back to Yass Council. They tried to take me to court. They took me to court. Oh shit, 2005, and they lost. That was hilarious. Cooma Council, they took me to court and they won, but they had to lie to win. And on the other matter that they were going to take to court, I completely smashed them on it, so they couldn't go there. And so we've just had this never-ending line of governments trying to smash me ever since. We had Essential Energy steal $250,000 worth of metal that I bought off them. And then the EPA got involved and they wanted to prosecute me for environmental contamination. And so, and this is, I've talked about it, but I think everyone's forgotten about it. 2013, I was working in Grafton in an old power station. I bought about $250,000 worth of scrap transformers, steel and copper. And there's like 150 tonne, like nearly 200 tonne of transformers. Big job, big job. We were there for 3 months working solid. And I got a phone call one day from a bloke in Wagga, the Essential Energy scrap coordinator. He's like, those transformers, they've all got PCBs in them. Well, I said, well, it's not my problem because I've got certificates saying that they don't. Oh, we gave you the wrong certificates. Again, that's not my problem. So the EPA turned up and the Essential Energy said, oh, Andrew's worked on the wrong transformers. And I'm like, well, here's a document. Here's the walkthrough. Here's the tick and flick. And those ones over there are the contaminated ones, and these ones here are the non-contaminated ones. And if they got that backwards, it's not my problem. We got kicked off site and the transformers disappear. I mean, you don't just disappear 100 tonne of transformers. They hid them. And they were going to try to prosecute me. And so I was ordered in for an interview with the EPA. And I said, yeah, great. I'll bring the evidence and the videos of the mercury on the ground that we were working within. And then they said, oh, what do you mean mercury? I said, well, there's mercury in the puddles. We were digging it up. Suddenly, there was no interview. There was no investigation. It got shut down so fast, no one would ever talk about it because those puddles drained directly into the Clarence River, just upriver of a fish and crustacean spawning ground. And mercury is one of the worst environmental pollutants in water. So there's payback still coming from me having this information, from me being involved in various things. I just said to Essential Energy, give me my transformers back. I don't really give a shit. It took 2 years. I found them. I got them.
Let's bring it back to more recent and local times.
Well, I suppose people are probably going, oh, I'm getting bored now. What does that mean? That's what made me start running in elections because I got sick of being screwed and lied about. That's 2012, 2013, and I first nominated for Eden Monero in 2013.
So I believe that the council's release references online comments from the 5th, 6th, 12th, and 14th of March. Could you provide some context to those posts? What were they in response to?
Well, that was in response to the Mikalago quarry. So we've got the December 12th, 2024 is when I reported the asbestos that we had discovered at Mikalago. Now, this was not a new thing. The asbestos was new, but the problem wasn't new. And for some 3 years, the quarry, we call it, Mikalago, massive hole in the ground that's being filled with dirt, it had been doing dodgy shit. Lots of dust, no dust control. They hadn't complied with development consent conditions. The council had given them a DA approval in secret. You know what's interesting? We can't get a copy of the development application. It appears it does not exist. How can you give a consent to an application that you now can't produce? That's a question for you, Mr. Do-Nothing Dunche. Where is the development application? Tony Murray, the guy in the fancy shoes. It's your job, your department. Michelle Rogers is involved. She's been going out to this quarry repeatedly over the years. She has sat on Matt Badrock's paddocks. She has sat on his veranda. She has met with him. She has taken videos and photos and his complaints. And nothing has ever been done. And that then culminated with, I received a call from Matt Badrock, who I'd never met, on the 10th of December. And he said, I think I've got asbestos in my paddock from the quarry. How do I identify it? And I asked him to describe it to me. And he said, oh, well, it's like fibro and it's got dots on it. All right, that's classic dimpleback asbestos. I'll come over this afternoon and we'll have a look. And I'll be able to then get evidence to report directly to the general manager and to Tony Murray, the new guy who had started at the Council for Environmental Services and Communities and what have you. So I went over to Matt Badrock's, like it's only 100 k's from Nimidabel, and we took a minute. By the time I met him at the gate and walked over into the middle of his paddock, and there's white fibro fragments in his grass. And you could see where the silt plume came through his fence. The whole ground under the fence was missing. It had been eaten away by the water out of the quarry site. So I took photos, I took videos, and on the 12th of December at our ordinary council meeting, I went in early and I had a meeting with the general manager and I put a sample of asbestos on his desk and I gave him a report and said, here's the photos, here's the evidence. We now need decisive action over this and we need this asbestos cleaned up. Well, it's 5 months in a couple of days' time. And listeners, shoppers, I can tell you that nothing has happened.
Now, this is more than just a 5-month issue. This issue has been going on for around 3 years before the 5 months.
I was at the community meeting in Mikalago when the residents blew up about the secret DA, that all the trucks in the road that destroyed their road. Remember when Tanya Higgins, the councillor for Mikalago, she got bogged in a bloody four-wheel drive in the road.
Now, I personally believe that this is a serious issue. I think it is probably the worst environmental disaster in our region. It's one of them? No, I think it's certainly at the top, especially when you look at the water samples, 150 times the safe drinking limit for aluminium, the presence of lead, cadmium.
Aluminium's a bad one. It's not really that well understood. You know, we cook with it and we use it and all these things, but in a biological sense and in a growing crop sense, aluminium is incredibly toxic to crops. So it's a bad one.
Now, how do you tie this in with that comment regarding Tanya Higgins being a big fat liar?
So there was a discussion getting around about the issue by around March, particularly with Badrock coming to the council to speak, which we were organising, and he'd done an interview. So Badrock had done an interview with you, Chris, and I thank you both for doing that. That was a really brave step by Matt. But he'd been living with this for years and he's got young kids and the stress of it, and we were just getting no traction. We couldn't get the council to deal with it. So he told his story, factually, simply, directly, with evidence. And we backed him to do that.
And I'd like to add, this is just my personal belief, that he was then threatened by one of the councillors.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
I have that screenshot where Tanya Higgins' husband threatened legal action against the victim of the Mikalago quarry issue.
Well, we've got the screenshot of Tanya Higgins basically threatening Matt Badrock's wife, Ruby, as well. And that Tanya Higgins said to Matt's wife, Andrew Thaler is the reason for the delay in the asbestos investigation. He didn't report it for 10 days to the council, which is a complete and utter lie. What I can't prove, which is what's worse, is people were telling me that Tanya was spreading around her community, along with John Rooney, who's a complete piece of shit. He's a despicable human. He's a former mayor of Snowy Monero, but we're not friends. They were both spreading around that I put the asbestos at the quarry to then go and find it.
So is that the source, the genesis of the big fat liar comment?
Well, I think the big fat liar goes back a couple of years to you're the ugliest man that ever walked the earth. But that's why I said you're a big fat liar. That's why I called it out. And I even said things like, let's be clear, big, comma, fat, comma, liar, full stop. All right. When you're being attacked by people in powerful positions who are protected by the system, you've got to be able to fight back. It's one man, I mean, my wife by my side and my kids and what have you. How do you fight back against the might of a government? A corrupt government, an incompetent government that doesn't care that there's asbestos being dumped in the community. Let's not forget that there's a nexus or a link, possibly, between the council and this asbestos. It is well worth looking into that this might be the asbestos that came from the Cooma Public School when the council built the new sports facility. There's a lot of things that we can speculate on, but we don't have to speculate blindly. We're not stupid. Blake Skerry, the owner of this site, did the bulk excavation works at the sports facility at the back of Cooma High School. Cooma High School in 2020 had the old science lab and other bits demolished, and they were completely chock-a-block full of asbestos. Documented, it was in the media. I blew the whistle on that, and that all got covered up to a great degree. And so is the asbestos that's on the Mikalago quarry still now, and the asbestos that's still on Mr. Badrock's paddocks, is that Snowy Monaro Regional Council's asbestos? It's a good question.
When we look at the totality of the issue here regarding the big fat liar, and you understand the context of it, it doesn't seem like it's an egregious offense to call somebody that's accused you of spreading the asbestos a big fat liar.
Correct. I think it was a proportionate response, and I could have probably been a lot harder about it. But at the end of the day, I'm entitled to self-defense. That's an inalienable right. I can defend myself.
And I believe it's a free speech issue as well.
Well, Mr. Honig, in questioning from Nicole Overall, he actually emphasised, after a very big audible pause, that I had a right to political communication. And I was I could say contestant, candidate in the recent Eden Monaro federal election. I was a contestant in the Monaro state election. I love this bit. I made Nicole Overall lose her seat. Just putting it out there, Nikki. You were in a safe seat, big margin. Labor government, their candidate completely collapsed against you, and yet you lost.
I'm not really interested to hear.
Well, no, because that's
what's
where
going on with Nicole.
That's where the bitterness and the spite comes into it. Nicole wants to destroy me because she lost the unlosable election, and she will use anybody to that end. So she will use Michelle Rogers. She will use Tanya Higgins. And let's not forget, when I was falsely charged with choking and assaulting and all this other bullshit with Sandra Drayton, the Nimita Bell Cafe, which was a year ago, who turned up to give Sandra Drayton a hug at the court? Nicole Overall.
Well, let's bring it back to this suspension. So one of them is regarding the big fat liar, and I think we've dealt with that issue pretty well.
Well,
I think you're justified in that.
Well, I'm going to stand on my rights to defend myself, but it's more than just that. It's not just about me. What about Matt Badrock?
Well,
I'm entitled to defend him as well.
Let's get to Matt soon. Misgendering. You've been accused, I believe, of misgendering one of their workers. Is there an apology you'd like to make regarding that?
Well, I didn't misgender her. I'm sorry, but she's a man. Don't have to apologise for that. That's just a biological reality. I don't have any misgivings. I've never met Michelle, and I'm very happy to indulge in her preference. If she prefers to present and be known as a woman, totally cool with that. It's not like the first one I've ever met in my life. But you can't hide behind that and then do bad things to people. And you can't hide behind that and do bad things to me, because I'm coming at and I'll call you out.
Now, this is actually a much deeper topic in the sense that has there been a precedent in Australia where you can be prosecuted for misgendering somebody?
Well, the Office of Local Government and that bloody idiot, Brett Whitaker, is alleging hate crime. Now, that's like 18C, racial vilification, all that kind of nonsense. But he hasn't made it a criminal thing. He hasn't made a criminal allegation. He's keeping it a civil allegation, which is a completely different test at law. And they're touching on it, they're making it icky, and they're trying to rely on sympathy for Michelle. I have no sympathy for Michelle. She used her powers against the victim to try and set up a false allegation against me, which could result in me being sent to jail and taken away from my kids.
Okay, what was that false allegation that Michelle Rogers made against you?
She didn't make the false allegation against me to me, but when we unpick what she was doing, she ordered Matt Badrock under, what is it, Section 203?
Section 203.
She ordered him in for a compulsory interview with like really serious punishment if you don't do it. And the premise of her interview was to put to him that I put the asbestos on the quarry. Now, you might be a bit dismissive of that and go, oh, well, it's a reasonable line of inquiry. Yeah, it might be. But she only had to ask him. She could have sent him an email and she could have asked him in a phone call. And the answers would have always been exactly the same. The answer is no. Instead, she went to the highest form of authority against the victim who's been struggling with this shit for 3 years. She even asked him if he put the asbestos there on his property. That's not how you treat a victim. That's not empathy. She didn't care about Matt Badrock. She saw it as a way to get me. And I believe that she did that in concert with Do Nothing Dunche and Tony Murray and whichever other idiots in the council that go along with these crazy ideas. Again, people might go, oh, Andrew, you've been a bit of a conspiracy theorist. No. When I exposed the asbestos back in 2012 or whatever it was, big asbestos contamination in Cooma, the first thing the council said was, Andrew probably put the asbestos there to go and find it. They reported me to DOCS, like Family and Community Services or Department of Community Services, alleged that I had deliberately exposed my 2-year-old son to asbestos, and DOCS rang me up and asked where my kid was because they wanted to come and get him.
That is horrific.
No, that's fucked up, Chris. That is so fucked up that there are no words for that level of despicable behaviour. And that is a fact. That is what this council did back when the asbestos issue broke out in Polo Flat. The council was responsible for that asbestos. The council spent over $1 million cleaning that up. They pissed me off so much they couldn't hide it. I smashed them and they had to clean it up. But there were no prosecutions. The EPA just basically said there'll be no prosecutions. It's been cleaned up.
We see this time and again, like with the Cooma water tank collapse, there's
No investigation. On and on it goes.
The same thing with this Mikalega quarry at the moment. There's been no investigation.
No investigation because all the little skeletons had come out if there was. Look at Claire Nolan. No investigation, Chris. Is there a bit of a pattern emerging in this conversation? It's like when the government does something wrong, they cover it up and they will burn anybody from exposing the truth. But if you do something wrong, and Grafton, the power station, the central energy and the mercury and the contaminated transformers, no investigation.
It's very troubling. It's very troubling. I must say, when I was reviewing the documents before this interview in regards to what's been reported in the media, it seems so clear-cut that you're the villain in this story, that you're fat-shaming, that you're misgendering. But when you see it in the context of what's actually occurred, I think that you've been treated very unfairly.
Well, let's go back to the beginning of this council journey. I stood for election. I was elected. Before the result was even declared, certain people in the council secured legal advice and had conversations with a lawyer. They spent ratepayers' money on a barrister through the law firm Bradley Allen Love, who, by the way, are a completely piece of shit law firm. They're the ones who lied in one of my cases, and they enjoyed lying. I won't forget it.
Yeah, no, it is a very disturbing thing that a publicly elected member can have all these obstacles set before him, even before he sets foot through the door.
Told me I was banned. And when I said I was going to be sworn in, they called the police and locked the doors and sent the staff home. And we just stood on the footpath with my mate who's a JP, and I was sworn in as a councillor because I went and read, was it section 233 capital A of the Local Government Act 1993? And it said you can be sworn in by a general manager. And I took the view, because David Hogan had quit, we didn't have a general manager. So I got a JP and an Australian lawyer instead. And what was their response? Panic, call the police, write a letter to the Office of Local Government demanding that I be stopped or that the council be suspended or something to stop Thaler.
I do remember that episode. That was one of my first shorts that I put out. It was quite funny, I believe.
But isn't it bizarre? Right? It's like, hey guys, the community's elected this fellow. Panic. What did they fear? Did they fear accountability? Because they got it in spades, because I didn't come alone onto the council.
So you've expressed publicly that you don't have much love for the current interim CEO?
Oh, none at all. I have been shocked is too big a word, disappointed, unimpressed, annoyed, frustrated, but that man is a piece of shit. He is just... He comes from the Shoalhaven, right? And I grew up in the Shoalhaven. There are a lot of people down there. And when he was shortlisted, I spoke to someone in the Shoalhaven and said, oh, can you tell me about Stephen Dunshea? And the words were, you must not give that man a job. They were bloody right. That's from somebody that worked with him.
Now, I believe that he stated that your actions have jeopardized public trust and the safety of council staff.
Well, it has, because the public used to trust the council, and the council lets them down. I mean, the council pumped muddy water to half of Cooma one time. The council blew up a water tank that they were told not to use. The council dumped asbestos around the community and exposed all their staff to it. The council can't fix roads. The council had a bridge with holes in it that if you walked across the bridge at night, you'd fall through the hole.
I can't attribute all that to you, Andrew.
Well, that bridge got fixed because of me. I made a video at that bridge.
But what I do note as well is that for 4 years running, council approval ratings have been hanging around 3%, which is not very good.
They're lucky to get people to actually engage with their surveys. I think this is the funny thing. There's a staff survey that was done last July and August, and it's taken 8 months for it to be given to us as councillors because it's so terrible. They didn't want to give it to us. And it's so terrible, but it has like a sub 34% participation rate from the staff. I think most of the people who participated are all those staff who kiss up and work in the communications department. And it's still a terrible bloody report and a terrible rating. It's sad because it's such a beautiful area. We're watching the sun go down now over the back of the Snowies.
Yeah, it is a beautiful place.
It's such a beautiful area with a true 4 seasons, wide open spaces, and we just get treated like shit everywhere we go. There's no mobile connectivity. There's no reliable internet. The roads are dreadful.
The rates have gone up again.
They're going up 10.8%.
And
Not because we need to, because they can.
Now, you didn't vote for the rate increase.
No, I don't believe we need it. This is a question for the shoppers at home. We had the rates go up the last 2 years. They went up 12 something percent the first year, 10.8% last year. And the bulk of that rate rise money was meant to be put into roads. What extra road work have we seen? I ain't seen it. They haven't even told us. What, we just have to believe them? We have to assume that they've done something somewhere? Well, let's... Polo Flat. I just look at Polo Flat. That's the standard you accept. It's the standard you walk past and the standard you accept. At the moment, they wanted to accept the standard of Polo Flat Road. This is a road that stuck to your tyres and you drove on it at the end of winter. And they said, oh, it's due to the warm weather. It's the end of winter. It was 23 degrees. The road stuck to our wheels. I don't think these people have left the boundary of the Shire. It does get a lot hotter in other areas of Australia. How come their roads don't stick to their wheels? Oh, and the best part, the solution to the road sticking to the cars' wheels and the trucks' wheels was to put town water on it 12 times a day to cool the road surface. Great use of ratepayers' money. Is that where our rate rise money went?
It's not a very green deal to be using diesel to move that water as well. I'm being ordered to apologise by the Office of Local Government, so I better start. I've got a lot to apologise for, Chris. Look, people, I'm sorry that we used town water to cool the Polo Flat Road. I'm sorry that we made a road that stuck to your wheels when it was 23 degrees Celsius. I'm sorry that our council meetings take 5 hours. I'm sorry that we're putting the rates up 10.8%. I'm sorry that the water tastes like shit in Nimittabel and Breadbow and Adaminaby and Calcite and Delegate, and I think Dalgettie's got nice water, and Jindabyne. I'm sorry that you have to boil the fucking water in Jindabyne. You want me to keep going? There's like a shitload more I can apologise for. I'm sorry. I apologise to the Toyota Corporation because I drive a Nissan. I apologise to the Greenies that I didn't vote for them in the last election. I apologise that Adam Bant lost his seat. I apologise to Peter Dutton that you lost yours. I think the Office of Local Government and Stephen Dunshea were thinking more along the lines of apologizing to a certain councillor and a certain staff employee.
Well, I don't really care what Stephen Dunshea says. I didn't vote for him. I told the people, I told the staff, the other councillors, he's no good. He had so many question marks. You just have to look at the, Bioelectra scandal, $2.3 million spent, disappeared in the Shoalhaven, all tied up with this Bioelectra nonsense. Stephen Dunshea's fingerprints are all over it. You just have to look at the consultants that Stephen Dunshea brings in. They're all friends. He brings them into the Shoalhaven Council. You just have to look at the lack of coincidence between, who did the sustainability review of the Shoalhaven City Council? Oh, a company called AEC. Who did the sustainability review for Snowy Monero Council? AEC. Like, this guy was put here by the OLG. I didn't vote for him. Unfortunately.
Are you allowed to say who did vote for him?
Yeah, I can. It's supposed to be in the minutes. And the Hannah gang did.
Now, do you believe the CEO's remarks have crossed the line into character assassination?
Absolutely. He's sinking the boot in. He's like Sandra Drayton's husband. I was pulled to the ground. Sandra's kicking me. Lee Drayton's kicking me. Yeah, he's just been a Lee Drayton. He's trying to put a kick in. You know what? Go for it, Stephen. Like I said, you don't understand how social media works. Hashtag do nothing Dunshea. You can't escape the hashtags, man.
Yeah. I don't know how to insert this into the podcast, but I somewhat suspect that you will be more dangerous once suspended or expelled than on the council.
Well, isn't it funny what you just said. And no, shoppers, we didn't terribly script this beforehand. This is a fairly free-ranging chat. And I'm proud to say, between two mates. Like, if you haven't met Chris Chan, you need to. He is somebody that gives so much to our community. The amount of hours he puts into publishing these, the songs, the AI, it's all out of his own pocket, right? There's a lot of stories to be told, and the Monero shitpost doesn't tell them. They're just lick spittles for the council. They put up a post straight away as soon as they could when all this came out, because they were told to, because they're just on bended knee. Like I said in the federal election campaign, Nathan Thompson from the fake news, he wouldn't know a fact if he tripped over it. But you just said the word about being expelled. I've got information that Bronnie Thaler, and let's not forget that other fat bitch, she and I have been enemies for a very long time. She tried to cover up the asbestos. She's behind the asbestos allegations against me back in 2012 because she was a councillor back then. Oh, yes. Let's not forget Bronnie Thaler. Although she's the queen of Ozempic at the moment. We've got an ice epidemic and a cocaine epidemic. We've got an Ozempic epidemic around the Shire too. So,
Andrew, my friend,
bulk buy discounts.
Try and keep on topic.
No, I'm just going to spray them all.
When we do switch to video feeds,
you're just going to laugh the whole time. No, Bronnie Thaler apparently told the mayor of another council that they, air quotes, are going to take me to the NCAT, the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, and have me cancelled as a councillor and banned from local government for 5 years. Now, I know that the venal pig wallowing in a trough, I wouldn't have actually used those words, Nicole. You've got them all back. Yeah, you're venal, you're narcissistic, you're so translucent and see-through. She got up and used that basically terminology, as it were. We need to get him in the NCAT and get him banned. She put that to Ron Honig in the 22nd of March, in the budget estimates in the New South Wales Parliament. And he didn't really respond to her terribly positively, because he had opened with, well, he does have a right to political communication. So when we hear the words, they are going to put him in the NCAT, that's saying to me, Nicole Overall and Bronnie Thaler, who are the chief architects behind this whole shit show, and they're from the National Party. Because I've got a few more apologies to make, Chris. I need to apologise to the members of the Marco Polo Club that John Barilaro and his dad stole it from you. I need to apologise to the members of the Marco Polo Club that your poker machines went missing. I need to apologise to John Barilaro that you lost your job. I need to apologise to the cameraman that John Barilaro assaulted you. John Barilaro and I used to be friendly, and then he started doing shit in the background through various actors and agents to prevent me getting anywhere politically. See, I ran in the 2015 New South Wales state election in the upper house, and I put together a group, and I was distributed from memory at position 11 out of 391 candidates. I was 11th, and I think the top 5 got elected. And yeah, Bronnie Thaler was elected in that top 5 from memory. She was elected that year, and she's hated me for a very long time. And that's okay. Like, I don't really care. You can hate all you like. That's your burden to carry. But when you abuse your power and your privilege, you're not honourable. And there's any wonder that Bronnie was pushed out of the party recently. And Nicole Overall recently, 2 years ago, lost the unlosable state election in the seat of Monero, word was she was so pissed that she was going to leave the area. And there was all these people in Queanbeyan going, yay, because she's not well liked. And then there was a casual vacancy because of Bronnie resigning. Nicole didn't get that job. And apparently that really pissed her off. And then Sam Faraway stepped out to contest the federal election recently. I don't know why he did that. It's a bit weird. He's a bit of a weirdo though. Former roads minister in the former government and what have you. And yet off topic, so funny. He lost. He didn't win. So maybe he wants his seat back. So Nicole, if you get a tap on the shoulder, I think Sam wants his seat back. But yeah, Nicole got parachuted in. She couldn't get elected. She had to get parachuted in.
I don't want to keep talking about Nicole.
Oh, I do. She's got a crush on me. It's so bad. She's
please.
So got a crush
Please
on
stop.
me.
I don't want to have to cut. I don't want to have to edit this heavily. Now, would you consider legal action against the council or the CEO for the way they've handled your situation?
Oh, what would you get? What would you achieve? These people lie. These people cheat. These people don't care. I don't know that legal action against the council would achieve anything. What he has said is what's called close to the line. He hasn't really crossed the line. Yeah, he's been a complete asshole about it, but he's not on the other side of the line. Nicole's trying hard not to be on the other side of the line, but she is. So she's in massive breach of the Parliamentary Code of Conduct. If you go and read the ICAC Act, she's just about broken all of them. That's fine. It's your choice, Nikki. By the way, she hates being called Nikki. Be ashamed that anyone does that around Queanbeyan.
Well,
or Kumar.
thank you for not suing the local council, because I do believe that we have a couple of Supreme Court proceedings set up this year, thanks to one of our community advocates, Peter Anderson.
Well, that's right, and I'm actually part of one of those issues, and it's
Oh, which one? Which one are you?
the one about the UCC. So I'm joining Peter with that.
Oh, I'm
to
not.
sue the
I'm not
council.
familiar about the UCC
Yeah.
one.
So the UCC,
I was talking about the Sonia Woolley case.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? We don't need to be sued. We just need to sit down and have a grown-ups conversation with Sonia. What do you need to be compensated? And just pay it.
Yeah, the Sonia Woolley case is a horrible one. 5 years after the Coombe water tank collapse, she hasn't been given a cent. They've lost her file.
Can't Chris Hanna just pretend to be her friend? Then she'll totally get settled. I mean, it's that simple. If you're friends with Chris Hanna, or even Trish Hopkins, God forbid, you get settled. You get whatever. You get landscaping money.
That's what made me really upset about the whole thing. That there are some people on that street that got paid out significant amounts of money, and then you have the story like Kylie Keenan, 5 years on, not a single cent.
Yeah, that's right. And so we're fighting to get a settlement for Kylie. We had to fight for Michael Chotar as well. That took a long time. Peter Bascom didn't give a shit. David Hogan didn't give a shit. Stephen Dunshea, because he was trying to piss high up the wall when he first came here, he's like, oh, yeah, I can totally do that.
Oh, and I've got to say thank you to the anonymous person that sent us the spreadsheet regarding the payments from the council water fund, I believe.
Well, this is, mate, getting information out of this council as a councillor, you wouldn't believe it. Stephen Dunshea told us that if we wanted information, we should gipper it.
Councillors?
Yeah.
No, that's not acceptable. It's the role of the councillor to direct the functioning of council.
That's right, and it's the role of the general manager, is it? Oh, so much going on. It's anyway? Is it 335 little f, something like that? It's something or other little f. Local Government Act. General manager must provide information to assist the councillors in the carrying out of their roles and functions. I mean, he told us to give her it. What an asshole.
No,
Hey, guess what? We've only got him for 6 more weeks.
I've got nothing against Danche. I try to stay impartial. Like, I've got to be able to walk into that council chamber and be able to smile at everyone.
Look, he's going to have a going away party, but I won't fit in the telephone booth with him, so he can just have a party by himself. No one's going to miss him.
Now,
Well,
final thoughts.
Tanya might.
Andrew, please stop.
You want listeners? You've got to make it funny. People only listen if it's funny. Like, we got to talk about aliens and spaceships and shit at Area 51 if we want to be like Joe Rogan.
I think if you did get expelled, we could probably do a weekly podcast. I think we could do something there, Andrew. Thank you.
How else do you deal with this such a heavy, sad, corrupt, deplorable situation? There are people with serious political connections, serious money. Like Bronnie Taylor's in the family that sold rainwater to Barnaby Joyce for 80 million buckaroos and then whizzed it off to the Cayman Islands, right? You're talking about a family with serious money and zero morals. You're talking about Nicole Overall with money. Big questions over how she and her husband made the money. And look, I know them. I've known Tim Overall for, what is it now, 22 years. So,
Well,
it's a
you
shame.
touched on something on in regards to why I do what I do, which is when I first joined Ruben on this journey. At first, I thought it was just little bits of inefficiency around the region, but ever since I've got involved, just more and more people come forward with these horrific stories of being abused by the administration that's meant to be taking care of them.
Well, was a woman in Breadbow who owned a property that had 2 water meters on it. And she was just told to pay it. And she's like, well, where's the other water meter? It was buried. Had never been read. You couldn't read it because it was buried in the dirt. Council billed her for 2 water meters. Another mate of mine in Jindabyne was billed for a water meter that was never read. They just made the numbers up. And it was so wildly out of kilter with the reality. I mean, I've helped so many people over the years that there was an inevitability about getting involved in the council. You can only help from the outside for so long. There's a reason why people voted for me. And of course, then your Nikki and your buddy Bronnie. And I mean, can I just add another apology? I'm sorry that Rocky Harvey is such a whiny bitch. And look,
Go easy on Rocky.
No. Rocky's a post turtle. He's up there. He doesn't know how he got there, but he's up on the post. He doesn't know how to get down. And then there's like, can I just apologise for Olivier Kaptanakos being such an oxygen thief? I mean, this guy's only in it for himself. He's not really interested in the Shire. I'm sorry about that. I used to be friends with Ollie, so I'm allowed to sledge him a bit because he is just constantly nasty. He's in close contact with Nicole Overall all the time. So is Rocky. Now, here's a fun fact. I had access to someone's messages a while ago.
Shh, don't tell him, otherwise
And
they'll know
I
how we know.
used to be able to read them.
No, don't tell them how we know.
In real time.
Don't, otherwise they know that we're tracking him. Don't.
I know this goes back a while. It was so funny that I know what Rocky Harvey was telling everybody, to the point that when Bronnie Taylor was going to be on Ben Fordham at 6:15 in the morning, Rocky was messaging everyone saying, Bronnie's going to be on. You've all got to listen. Like,
No, don't tell him that.
I'm not going to tell him how, but I'll tell you what, that was so funny. That was so funny. And so what people need to understand is I'm not an idiot. And my friends are not idiots. And we called time on the lies. And we called time on the bullshit. And we called time on our region being sold out by people like Olivier Kaptanakos, who brought acceptance to the Special Activation Precinct because he would make money. To people like Rocky, who is irrelevant found himself in this shit and needed an out and tried to be the hero and ended up misappropriating a lot of money from the community.
Has he repaid that to our friend Scott and Sherry?
I haven't heard that he has. So my simple fact is that they haven't rung me up to say, hey, we got the money. So
That's really sad, because Scott and Sherry are really great people. I'm big fans of Scott and Sherry.
But Scott and Sherry lost faith with the area and had to move. I mean, let's not sugarcoat this whole thing. They were raided by the police. Scott and Sherry had a young family. They were trying to have another child. They were running the bulk
Market.
food, health food, a place called The Market in Jindabyne that had sort of bulk food, health food. It had like a vegetarian menu, which we always used to rib them and go, you'd sell more shit if you sold bacon.
Yes.
And it was a great hangout. They had Wi-Fi and lounge chairs, and it was a funky hangout. And COVID came, and they got smashed by the cops. They got secret shoppered. They made their own QR code, so they were complying. And the cops come and did a secret shopper, and then the cops come back with the big fat bald-headed dickhead from Parramatta, and he just basically grabbed him and said, you're not wearing a mask, you're not compliant. And so he charged him. And then he came back the next day and said, no, I've got you now for breach. So he picked up Sherry and chucked her in the bloody cop's car and took her to the police station, and she was released on bail, and the bail condition was to wear a mask. And she's saying, but I'm exempt. I don't have to wear a mask. And then I heard about it. And I drove down to Jindabyne. I got in touch, some mutual friends, and I drove to Jindabyne, and I met Scott and Sherry. They were feeling pretty broken and pretty outraged. And I sat with them over a cup of tea and I said, look, I've put $7,000 in my lawyer's trust account for you two. You now have a lawyer. No more raids from the police. That stopped it dead. But you know what else happened? Because we made that public. That wasn't to grandstand. That was to protect all the other businesses in Jindabyne and Cooma. There were no more police raids at that time.
That was around the time that I met them as well.
And what was really important was that the law that the police were relying on only applied to the greater Sydney region. It didn't apply to us. So the police were breaking the law. Nobody wanted to help us. John Barilaro didn't give a shit. Nicole Overall didn't give a shit. I did.
Yeah, no, I thank you for helping them. That was around the time that our family met up with their family. We had heard those stories about them being mistreated, and we thought it was really egregious what had been visited upon them.
Mate, completely outrageous. This is a young family having a go. It broke their faith in this community, and they put their business up for sale. It took a long time to sell because times are tough in Jindabyne. Times are tough in the Monero.
And now the person they sold to,
yeah, they sold to Rocky.
Either can't pay them or won't pay them.
Won't pay them is my theory.
It's very sad.
Yeah, he seems to apply himself to whinging about council and me more than making a bit of money from his preservative-free sausages. Sell some more sausages, Rocky.
I don't have anything against Rocky. I don't have.
I do.
I don't have. Yeah. I love most of these people you're talking about.
I don't.
In the sense that I'm a conservative and I used to be a liberal and a national, and I love these people. You put me in a very awkward position, but I want the truth to get out. Like Ruben Rose said when he came in, truth is like a lion. We only have to unleash it, and it should defend itself.
Well, it's a bright light, and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. They don't like being put in the light. But when you put yourself in the light and you're a vampire, that's not my problem. Right? It's really simple. You think about it from that perspective. Come out in the sun. If you're a vampire, like I think Nicole Overall is, it's going to burn you. And
Andrew, I'm way off track of my questions.
Well, bring it back. What else do you want to talk about? So,
well, I think we're hitting the limit already.
But what are the next steps? People like your stuff, mate. You're the next Joe Rogan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What are the next steps? Well, the thing is, has the OLG done the right thing? My argument is no, they haven't. Not at any time. They never observed my natural rights at law. A presumption of innocence, or the fact that I am allowed to defend myself, the fact that I was defamed, the fact that Tanya Higgins broke the minister's performance improvement order to lie about me to her community, the fact that Tanya Higgins brought the council into disrepute by suggesting directly and through her husband that she was going to sue her community for defamation on the back of Matt Badrock telling the truth. Tanya Higgins did all those things. She attacked me and I responded. I defended myself and I defended. So that's self-defense and defense of another. They are in the Crimes Act. You can't alienate them. You can't lose them. Secondly, let's talk about Michelle Rogers. I'm happy to call Michelle Rogers. I don't care. What I do care about is if you can't do your job. So if you've been given a very high level authority to enter properties, to inspect properties, you're the environmental compliance officer, but you're picking and choosing who you do the environmental compliance on, or you're lying about what jobs you've done. Let's not forget, when I put up the motion about 32 Wolf Street, the general manager, Do Nothing Dunche, put in his commentary in response to my motion that the council had no records of any complaints and no records of any compliance action. And I have the complaints and record of the compliance action from the email exchange between myself and Michelle Rogers. And I know other people have complained, the Anglican Church, the neighbour, one of the other neighbours. Their dog catchers went to the 32 Wolf Street property when that particular property's dogs tried to eat the neighbour's dog, right? That's a compliance action. No record. That's all under Michelle Rogers. Why are those records missing? Why have they been deleted? Why did Michelle Rogers not do any investigation of Carly Johnson, former councillor, Carly Johnson's property up at Old Dry Plains Road when Carly buried concrete, when Carly built a house in breach of the DA conditions, when Carly cut down trees, when Carly cut into a hill? Michelle Rogers, and she can deny this all she bloody wants, I'll play the recording, thank you very much, did not know about it. I made the complaint and Michelle didn't know about it. How could you not? It was a sitting councillor with an illegal development, cutting down trees in an environmental zone. No, it's a protected area. And what's happened to Carly? Nothing. Nothing. But I'm going to be suspended for calling Tanya Higgins a big fat liar. And I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry. You are a big fat liar. You don't know what to say. Come on, Joe.
I dare not say anything. Thank you, Andrew, for your time. I really appreciate it. I wish you well. I hope that you can front a challenge to the Office of Local Government regarding being able to express yourself without being silenced. Because I think what you have to say is important, though I wish you would package it a little bit differently.
Well, all right, let's close on this. A few people have asked me about this. Here's a couple of simple challenges for anybody, even you, Hamish McDonald. Watch a council meeting. Who's the idiot in the room? Not me. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. Who are the idiots, plural, in the council meeting? Any council meeting. Pick any council meeting, even the one we had last week where they were all on their bestest behaviour because someone from the OLG was sitting in the crowd watching. That was the most fake meeting we've had. Watch some of our real raw meetings where the Labor and Narelle and Rooney and all those people just lie and lose their shit. Look at their body language when they vote with me on a motion of mine. It's like they want to slit their own throat. Oh my God, I can't believe I voted with Thaler. You're not voting with Thaler, you're voting for the community. If Thaler puts up a motion that the community want, and you find that you need to vote for it, don't ridicule yourself for voting for it. You're voting for the community. These idiots forget why they're there. I don't. And I was put there by enough people, not the people, enough people. They knew what I was like. They know what I'm like. They put me there to do a job. And the reason that Nicole Overall and Office of Local Government and Dunshay and Tenure and all them don't want me there is because they know I can do that job. And that's not the job they want done. Olivier Captain-Arcos doesn't want me there because I want everyone to make money, not just him. A rising tide lifts all ships. Not just Ollie's ship, not just Rocky's ship, everyone's ship. And I can tell you, I ain't making any money out of this shit at the moment because it's just taken up all my time. So think long and hard about attacking me on social media. You'll note that I haven't responded for the last couple of days. I'm just letting all the trolls use up their energy. You need to look at the wider picture. Zoom out. Take it all in. What is this about? We either get control of our region or we keep paying higher rate rises for shittier roads, for no mobile coverage. You'll pull it out of Miniville closed. You tip at Jindabyne's closed. That's just scale that forwards. You'll get a mega development in Jindabyne, and the roads are already choked now. The whole place will keep going to shit. The rich can afford it, and the poor can't. And then Snowy Hydro will finish, and the entire place will collapse. It's already done it in the past. Look to the past to understand the future. It's that simple. My job is to bring it back to the people. And that's what the OLG fear. And that, when you listen to Nicole Overall saying, I fear this going to others, spreading to other councils, no one stopped and thought to ask Nicole what would spread to other councils. It's a very simple word. Democracy will spread to other councils. The Nationals lost control of this one. What will spread to other councils is freedom, democracy, representation, truth, honesty, and a big bright light that vampires hate.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Wish you all the best.
In the shadowed hills of Nimatabel, where winds cut cold and legends dwell, a man rose up with iron will, in a scrapyard humble, sturdy still. They called him the lion, wild and free, a sailor's grit from sky to sea, with a heart that burned like the forge's flame, and Thaler bold was his proud name. Oh, he's the lion of Nimatabel, with fire and steel and tales to tell. A sailor's heart, a scrapper's might. He roars for truth, he roars for right. Through rusted heaps and battles worn, for Monroe's folk his spirit sworn. With Eliza fair and fierce at his side, the lion roars our steadfast guide. Through metal heaps and rusted pots, he kept his gaze on the people's hearts. A voice unyielding, sharp and true, with Eliza fair his love in view. Now Eliza, beauty pure and bright, with eyes that turned the dark to light. She saw the soul behind his roar, the man of grit whom the town adored. Oh, he's the lion of Nimatabel, with fire and steel and tales to tell. A sailor's heart, a scrapper's might. He roars for truth, he roars for right. Through rusted heaps and battles worn, For my narrows folk his spirit soared. With a lease of fair and fierce at his side, the lion roars our steadfast guide. He'd speak his mind both blunt and raw, with words that kept the weak in awe. But he saw the struggles deep and wide. The Monaro folk with him they'd ride, while the council dithered blind and mute, and funds poured down in silent disputes. The Hammer gang with secrets bound drew ire from every soul around. Oh, he's the lion of Nimatabel, with fire and steel and tales to tell. A sailor's heart, a scrapper's might. He roars for truth, he roars for right. Through rusted heaps and battles worn, for Monaro's folk his spirit soared. With a lease of fair and fierce at his side, the lion roars our steadfast guide. But Andrew stood with lion's might to cast their deeds in the public light. He told the folk of truth concealed, of funds misplaced, of pain unhealed. Each dollar drained, a dollar lost, while we bear hardship count the cost. They scheme and plan while roads decay, and services drift far away. Oh, he's the lion of Nimatabel, with fire and steel and tales to tell. A sailor's heart, a scrapper's might. He roars for truth, he roars for right. Through rusted heaps and battles worn, for Monaro's folk his spirit soared. With a lease of fair and fierce at his side, the lion roars our steadfast guide. The lion's roar, it reached each ear, from Bombola's hills to Jindabyne Clear, where rates once fair had climbed so high that common folk let out a sigh. Through rusted heaps and battles worn, for Monaro's folk his spirit sworn. With a lease of fair and fierce at his side, the lion roars our steadfast guide. Oh, he's the lion of Nimatabel, with fire and steel and tales to tell. A sailor's heart, a scrapper's might. He roars for truth, he roars for right. Through rusted heaps and battles worn, for Monaro's folk his spirit sworn. With a lease of fair and fierce at his side, the lion roars our steadfast guide. The lion's roar, it reached each ear, from Bombola's hills to Jindabyne Clear, where rates once fair had climbed so high that common folk let out. Oh, oh, oh.